Yeah, we're building that today.
This video is brought to you with support from Klawndykes. Klawndykes is a family-owned business that makes in-scale T-track modules, mini diorama kits, and in-scale display stands right here in the US. You've seen me feature many of their modules right here on this channel, and I am so proud to have them as a partner on this channel. Check them out at the link in the description.
I have had the Broadway Limited Layout Lightning Storm sitting in a box for a while now. I've been wanting to add it to my layout, but then I thought, hey, what if I added it to a T-track module for my new layout? I have another end cap on phase 1 of my new layout, and this was the perfect spot for it. So let's get started. First, we need to get the module prepped. I do this by painting the top of it the same brown as the rest of my layout. I'm not too careful about the edges because I eventually intend to paint the sides black. I then attach the track. For this, I'm using a bit of super glue, which works just fine. You can use whatever glue you want. You can really just use something like latex caulk, which is another one that I've used in the past. I use a short section of Kato double track to check my alignments. Now this is the Klawndykes module, and it has the laser lines etched into them for where you need to put the center line of the track. Once I've got that done, I glue all of the Kato unitrack down. Next, it's time to get out the Layout Lightning Storm. Now this thing consists of a speaker with all of the electronics in it, a button, 2 LED strips, and a power supply. We start off by screwing the speaker onto the module. Now it has a foam insert that goes between the speaker and the surface to help dampen any vibrations the sound may cause on your railroad. Once this is done, I attach 2 Floral Foam cylinders to the module using glue. I'm going to be using Floral Wire to hold up and build the frame of the Thunderstorm. So Floral Foam is perfect for supporting this. Now I use this E6000 glue, which I saw on Hobby Lobby, and I thought it'd be interesting to try, and it was okay, but I would probably use something else in the future that was a bit quicker setting, like a high temp hot glue or super glue. Once this was done, I built a support structure for the cloud with Floral Wire sections. I basically built it high enough and then created a quarter sphere to put the cloud on. Next up, I placed the LED strips in the rough position I wanted them. Now they're going to move around until they're secured in with the cloud structure. And now I can do my first test of the system. Next, I attach the control button to the front fascia. I marked where to drill a hole for the wires. I drilled the hole, then fed it through and attached the button with some glue. Now it has screw terminals, but the glue worked just fine for me. I just went along the edges with the super glue so that I didn't have to worry about the back getting ripped off. I also drilled a hole near the speaker for wires to run through as well so that you can have some nice wire paths underneath the module. Now for another test. Now it's time to build the mountain that will cover the speaker. Now I'm going to be using the cardboard webbing method, which uses cardboard strips to create the frame, then is covered with plaster cloth. And while I'm doing this, you can actually hear my kids think how cool this thunderstorm is when it was going on its random cycle. Now you'll notice that I'm testing this thing with every step that I complete. This is important because you want to make sure that everything works as you go along, because if you do something that causes it not to work, you'll know as soon as you clear the step. Once the plaster is dry, I can paint the hillside with the same paint I use on the module base. Once this is done and dry, I can start the scenic process, and this begins with ballasting. I do my usual application of ballasting and weathering the track process that I've done in the past, and I'm going to link the other end cap module where I go over this entire thing in detail at the end of this video, so you can check that out if you're interested in that, or if you have your own ballast method, you can use that as well. I then soak everything with a 90% IPA and use my white glue water mixture to get everything secured down. Now you can see that I'm using a syringe to put the IPA down and a squeeze bottle to apply the glue. Some people are going to think that I'm crazy for doing this versus a mister bottle or a spray bottle, but this has consistently given me the best results that last. Yes, it is significantly more tedious, but I typically only have to do it once. Now while that's drying, I move on to the scenic base off the track, and this starts with a white glue coating. I then cover everything with an earth blend of Scenic Turf foam. Note how I hold the edge of the cap I am using so that I can get a fairly clean line where the scenery meets the ballast. After the base is done, I sprinkle a mixture of green turf foams on the earth blend to give it a good mix. This is an easy way to get a natural, good-looking ground on your layout, because a lot of times nature is not a uniform color. It's a good mixture of colors. You have weeds, you have all sorts of other plants, and this will give you that illusion. Now to cover the mountain. I'm going back to an old technique for this one. I'm talking about first few videos I did on the channel, and this one is going to be Reindeer Moss, or lichen. You can pick this up in quite a lot of places. Woodland Scenics has their own varieties of it, but you can also find it in Hobby Lobby, you can find it in Walmart, just anywhere that has a floral section. I've even seen it in the dollar store. And it is great for quick and easy tree covered hillsides. I've purchased 2 different colors, and as I attach them, I mix them through the hillside. The reason I'm going for this method is that the hillside is pretty steep and the track is fairly close. Puffball trees, which is what I probably would have done, would have had too much depth and probably obstructed the track and been really a pain. So the reindeer moss option was my best bet, though it was a bit tough to keep attached on those vertical surfaces as it was drying. I'd have to keep pressing it back there. Once this was done, I needed to augment the reindeer moss with actual trees so that this looked more like a hillside. I did this with a couple of things. One was some leftover Woodland Scenics tree canopy trees that I had from a previous kit. Another was a couple of Premade Trees. I did this because I wanted some conifers on there to make it look a bit more of a mountainous feel, because I want this to represent as you're getting close to the mountains in North Carolina rather than a rolling hillside. The last technique was actually a little bit of recycling. I had some old super trees that I used a while back, and so I went through gluing them in random spots. So if you're ever using super trees or something similar and you're tearing down a section, stick all those in a box or a bag or whatever is best, because you can always use this to fill out and detail out a tree canopy that you're building, just like this. Once this was done, I did a similar but scaled down process for the small hillsides. Lastly, I needed to detail the ground near the track. Now I went around sprinkling various bits of scenic material, whether it is clump foliage or scenic turf or just any sort of scraps or coarse foam or anything like that, and some mats and all things that I have that were extras from previous projects, and this really comes in handy. I tend to scoop anything extra into a single Tupperware and let it all mix together. This lets me have a pre-made random mixture of foliage to scatter on the ground, and this greatly helps in making easy, natural beauty. So once everything was done, I soaked it all in IPA and my glue mixture. Now it's time to make the thunderstorm cloud. I want to give it the feeling of rolling over the mountain and into a valley below. If you've ever been to Boone, North Carolina and seen a storm roll over Rich Mountain, you know exactly what I am talking about. They come rolling down that thing. In order to do this, I'm going to use Polyfill to create the clouds. This stuff is cheap and it looks great. This entire bag was about $3.50. This is the stuff you use to stuff pillows. I roll it into very rough balls, kind of like bigger versions of puffball trees, and I stick it through the floral wire. I do have to sometimes detach the floral wire to get this on, but it's easy to fix and twist right back together. I keep building around the LED strips to make sure that the polyfill completely covers the LED strips, and once I had all of the wires filled, I add some to the top of the cloud and used a bit of spray glue to attach it. I also added a few more sections of floral wire as supports to keep the cloud stable. So, there you go. Let's take a look at how this model thunderstorm looks. This is really a fun project. I've been wanting an animated feature on my layout, and I think this one is perfect. Check out some of these model railroad businesses.
Scaletree.com. Scaletree.com makes hero and forest trees for HO and N scale. They also do custom trees for custom orders. Check them out at scaletree.com. Model Railway Backshop is a great place if you're looking for a quality paint job for your old or new brass model locomotive. If you're looking to get that brass model weathered, you can get that done too. Right now, you can get 10% off any brass model painting and weathering job by using the promo code NMRA10. Check them out at modelrailwaybackshop.com.
Now I have all the parts I used here linked in the description below. You can also check out these videos on the Layout Lightning Storm itself and the other end cap module where I went into more detail about doing the ballast and the ground cover right here. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, and happy railroading.